श्री गणेश वंदना। वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। हरि ओम। ओम नमः शिवाय। Now I am starting with this podcast. This will be a kind of Hindi and English mixed podcast depending on my own self. क्योंकि देखो, कुछ शब्दों का असली अर्थ हिंदी में ही जागृत होता है, अपनी मातृभाषा में ही जागृत होता है. बट कमिंग बैक टू ओम नमः शिवाय. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, what is this Om we talk of? In Sanatana Dharma, in our great Dharma of this great Bhumi, of this great land, Bharat Mata, we have what are a collection of mantras basically. Mantras are chants, and every mantra has its own potency. But what gives every mantra this potency is also the addition of this word Om. So first of all, what is this Om? Before getting deep into it, what I like to define Om as is, my own interpretation is, Om is a universal constant. Om is the sound of the universe. हमारे प्रभु जगन्नाथ है और जगत का नाद ही ओम है. The sound, the echo, the reverberation of the universe is Om. And when we define Om, what is Om? How do we spell Om? First of all, Om has 3.5 syllables. In Sanskrit that is, हर शब्द को एक आकार दिया जाता है. And we write it as kara. So the first syllabus is a or akara. Second syllabus is u or ukara, and third syllabus is ma or makara. Finally, after these three syllables, a, u and ma, the half syllable is a symbolic representation of the silence. This 3.5 syllables, according to my own interpretation, is nothing but how the universe actually works. A, U, Ma, and silence that follows. In order to actually experience it, people need to go deeper within it. If they chant U and Ma, there is reverberation in all over the body, starting from the top portion till the lower portion of the body, and the last, after the ma ends, there is a half a syllable or half a minute of silence. This is actually how the universe works. There was creation, there is sustenance, there is destruction, and then there is a silence that follows. In theory, this is also the Tridev, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. The pantheon of the pantheon is the complete collection of all the deities, the trinity of gods, त्रिमूर्ति. जैसे कि कहा जाता है, हिंदू धर्म में, सनातन धर्म में 3 प्रमुख देव हैं, ब्रह्मा, विष्णु और महेश. ब्रह्मा सृजन करता है, ही इज़ द क्रिएटर ऑफ द यूनिवर्स. विष्णु पालनहार है, he is the observer of the universe. First of all, he observes the universe, and he is the protector of the universe. He is the machinery. Every machinery that works on the status of Vishnu. If we consider the universe as a functioning machine, the operator of the machine is Vishnu. And lastly comes Maheshwara, Shiva, who is none but the destroyer of this universe. And after this destruction comes a period of silence. And after this silence, the cycle restarts. This cycle is again of the creation of the universe. So there is creation, there is sustenance, there is destruction, and there is reiteration of this cycle again, as to say it. Once creation begins, and the creation stops only at the point of destruction or pralaya. After pralaya, everything falls back into Shiva again, as he is the destructor. and there is nothing but the silence. And this silence is eternal, just like the universe is eternal. And after the eternal universe ends and the eternal silence starts, the creation of universe begins again. This is exactly why I use the term eternal. Even though intellectually we might think कि अरे संसार शुरू होके समाप्त भी हो जा रहा है, तो अनादि अनंत कैसे, how is it eternal? The fact that it is completely cyclical in nature and everything happens again and again makes it eternal. There is no foundation to it. After every cycle, creation takes a newer form, but what remains the constant is Om. A, U, Ma. Om. This is the importance of this reverberation of the universe. Omkara. And this Omkara is the basis of creation, sustenance, and destruction of the universe. That is what gives it power. And in order to be one with this universe, in order to be one with all these three energies, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, these are three energies. In order to be one with them, we need to understand that the basis of this energy is nothing but Omkara. Hence, coming back to where I started, Om is the fundamental beginning of everything and the fundamental end of everything. And to signify that, to symbolify that, each and every mantra begins with Om. And the mantra I said was Om Namah Shivaya. This is a very eternally powerful mantra, as Shiva, though seemingly dark as a destructor, is nothing but auspiciousness in its raw form. For the term Shiva means auspicious. In any activity, there is the need of a positive energy, there is a need of auspiciousness. Shiva is the one that provides this auspiciousness, and hence I bow down and I salute to the great Lord Mahadeva with the salutation Om Namah Shivaya. And even before I said Om Namah Shivaya, I did Ganesha Vandana. Vakratunda Mahakaye Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvighnam Kurumedeva Sarvakareshu Sarvada. This is a Vandana or a calling of Lord Ganesha. Ganesha, the son of Shiva, is none but the one worshipped first. He is the first one to be invoked. He is the first one to be worshipped because he is the remover of all obstacles. और मेरा मूल अर्थ सबसे पहले गणेश वंदना करने का यही था कि मेरे इस शुभ कार्य में, इस अत्यंत ही गंभीर और एवं शुभ कार्य में किसी भी तरीके की विपत्ति नहीं आनी चाहिए. In order to get rid of all obstacles in my this very auspicious endeavor, I bow down to Lord Ganesha and I invoke his blessings. I invoke the blessings of that great one, of the remover of obstacles, who is Vigna Harta and Vigna Karta. See, another great part of our culture is the sense of duality in it. Vigna Harta is also Vigna Karta. In the sense, he may not create obstacles for you, but in our culture, we signify this duality which is ever present. What may be the removal of obstacles for me may be the obstacle for another person. For example, Ganesha is also revered as a patron of farmers because his Vahan is Mushak, which is a pest for farmers. So, coming back to the tangent which I took, Vigna Harta and Vigna Karta. For a farmer, if Ganesha removes the pests, then he is very well the Vigna Harta for the farmer. But for the pest itself, won't you say that at a certain level he is becoming the Vigna Karta for the pest? Isn't it so? So there is this duality, and people come with the question, why is there this duality in nature? Why can't everything be completely monotheistic, one in number, unary. But the only question I will pose as a reply is, without knowing what is bad, how can anyone appreciate good? In order for balance to be created in this universe, there has to be both good and bad. Coming to another anecdote, आप अपनी 5 उंगलियां ही देखें, आपकी पांचों उंगलियां एक बराबर नहीं हैं. There are differences in everything, but पांचों उंगलियां मिला के ही मुट्ठी बनाई जा सकती है. Only after encompassing every aspect of nature, every aspect of reality, can one begin to understand how reality works. And this is the importance of duality. And within this duality, there is this single concept which is true, which is the only truth, which is the supreme truth, is the super consciousness, is the hyper consciousness to which we call God. God is none other than the energy. As I said, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, these are all energies which have manifested into physical forms. We manifest these energies into physical forms only for our own understanding. नकार को आकार देते हैं. To the formless we give a form, that is to aid our own minds. In order to understand something, in order to meditate upon something, we need something to visualize upon. So Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh aren't exactly what we imagine, but these are formless energies, formless entities. These are people beyond form. These are energies beyond form, which in order to understand and digest to some level within our own being, we give forms. Coming back to my Lord Shiva, Shiva is with many forms. Coming back to duality, Shiva is himself singular but dual in every possibility. Shiva is Ashutosha, the one easily pleased, the one ever calm, the one ever happy, the one who gets pleased very easily. He is also Rudra, the fierce one. He is also Bhairava, the very frightful one, the terrifying one. But he is also Bholenath, the innocent one. Shiva is Nirguna Nirakara. He is attributeless, he is formless. But any form, any attribute can be attributed to Lord Shiva himself. He is one, he is everything. And in order to truly understand the nature of our own being, we need to understand that we ourselves are an extension of Shiva. Shiva is this universe, Shakti is this universe. The consort of Shiva, Shakti, or in her calm form, Ma Parvati, is what sustains us. Just like Shiva has many forms, Parvati sustains us in the form of Annapurna, the goddess who satisfies our hunger, who nourishes us, is Annapurna. Parvati is the mother for all. She protects us in the form of Durga, and in the form of Kali, she removes all that is dark. And coming to the tangent of Kali, there is Mahakali and Mahakala. These are not dark entities of death. People signify Mahakal and Mahakali as death personified, but I would like to differ very much on this tangent, because Mahakal, Mahakali, these are not just death but time personified. Kal Chakra is the cycle of time. Kal Chakra is what bounds everyone, what binds everything to a singularity and a plurality. Coming back to duality, there is singularity also and plurality also. There are many universes, but every universe has this one singular reality, and that reality is governed by Mahakal. He is the one who can take you to the higher realm, to a state beyond time, to the realm of Mahakali, the ever present one, the ever loving mother. But before going there, we need to first understand who we actually are and how our own system works. Coming back to the tangent of mantras, there is this very beautiful concept that people think of as gatekeeping. Ki there are a few mantras which require a person to be initiated. आपको गुरु से दीक्षा लेनी पड़ेगी, तब आप वो मंत्र उच्चारण कर सकते हो. There are a few mantras which are very potent, and in order to meditate upon those mantras, people need an initiation. What people think as gatekeeping, as partiality of some kind, is not any kind of partiality or gatekeeping, but it is only upon, first of all, the eligibility of the person and the tendency of the person. I'll give an example. If a person is very calm-minded himself and he is a Vaishnava by nature, someone who is supposed to worship Mahavishnu, Narayana, Rama or Krishna, Saumya form of Devata, if he starts worshipping Mahakali, a very fierce form of the Divine Mother, then it will not gel with that person and it will wreak havoc in his life. So it is the duty of the Guru to assess a person and give him the mantra which is most suited for him, and he has to show eligibility for that mantra. And coming back to the tangent of eligibility becomes very, very important, because in the realm of mantras, there are a few words which are sanctified with higher power which is personification of the deity itself, which is known as Bija Mantra or Bijakshara. It is called a Bija. Bija literally means seed, because these are tiny seeds of energy, single words, Bija Aksharas, which hold the energy of the deity. In order to meditate upon these Bija Mantras, which is the crux of Tantra Sadhana, Bija Mantras are potent and may or may not suit everyone. So it is upon the Guru's decision, it is upon the Guru's better judgment on the Shishya's own life and which mantra is best suited for him. And similarly, apart from mantras and Bija Mantras, there are yantras. Yantras are geometrical figures, geometrically sanctified figures or diagrams upon which the energy of the deity can be worshipped or meditated upon, in better words. The crux of Tantra, Mantra and Yantra is this. Mantra are words which are sanctified with the deity's energy. Yantra is the form which we give. It is a diagram of the deity which represents the energy of the deity and the deity himself or herself. And Tantra is the technique of how any kind of worship or upasana or sadhana or meditation can be done upon, needs to be done upon. People, when they think of Tantra Sadhana, they think of black magic, which is a very wrong statement to use, because of the fact that Tantra is a very different mark or path from the one taken usually by Vedics or the regular people. Many people have misjudged Tantra and equated it with black magic. Black magic is also known as Abhichara Kriya, which is just one part, one minute tiny part of Tantra. Coming back to this tangent where I said there is Tantra Mantra Sadhana has a power. People unlock a power within them. Yes, I would completely agree that Tantra sadhana or any kind of sadhana gives us kind of powers. These are powers, divine powers. A representation of the deity is within the deity's powers itself. Hence, the iconography is used. In order to understand the deity, we need to play an active role and pay very high attention on the iconography, on how the deity is depicted. Similarly, these powers signify and symbolify the deity, and these powers are very important because what I believe is we are all in our own stuffed reality, which is like a locked room. We are sitting in a locked room. This universe is nothing but Maya, a play of the divine, a play of Shiva, a play of Shakti, where we are to understand ourselves and move ahead in our spiritual growth, in our spiritual journey. But before everything begins, we are all sitting in a locked room, and sadhana starts to open small windows. Maybe we are not ready to peek out, we are not ready to see what is outside of our locked rooms. But as I said, there is duality. Just as there is positive energies, there are many negative energies also. And these powers are imbued to us, we are imbibe this power for another important reason, that is our own protection from these negative entities or negative energies which might try to influence us or disturb our spiritual practices. Because even if we don't look out the window, someone may try to peek inside, look at you. If we want to safeguard ourselves from negative energies, that is why these powers are given to us. Powers, I may not agree to be a very correct word, but for basic understanding now, power is fine. Basically, it is energies that are activated within ourselves. Some energy being latent, inherited by our own selves, by our own body, and some which we get through our own mantra japa or chanting and our sadhana or meditative practices which we follow. But coming back to everything, the basis of everything is the deity. And in order to be one with the deity, in order to progress in our spiritual sadhanas, it becomes extremely important for us to use our discriminative ability and decide what is right and what is wrong very carefully. Black magic, as people have termed Tantra, is nothing but abhichara kriya of Shat Karmas, 6 different activities which can be performed on others. This was used as protective measures, but now people have started to misuse them. What was meant for their protection was started to be used by a very tiny number of people for their own materialistic gains. What was meant to be a storehouse of spiritual energy has been diverted into materialistic planes, and that has caused imbalance, and this imbalance is what people refer to as black magic at the end of the day. Coming back to these 6 activities, I will not go into details of those activities because obviously that is not the point of this podcast or of my explanation, but to give a gist of these are the activities which are performed and which people might have seen in movies happening. कि किसी को मार दिया, we try to kill someone, or we try to hypnotize someone, किसी को सम्मोहन कर लिया, किसी का वशीकरण कर लिया, trying to make someone get attracted to you, and such activities. There are a few more, I will not go into details. But coming back to my major point of this podcast is We all start our spiritual journey somewhere, and it is only through the grace of the deity can we develop ourselves, can we move forward in our spiritual journey. But what happens with people, maybe the people are very fine, they are very great upasakas, they are very great sadhakas, and actually have a tendency of growth. But sometimes it happens that people get powers, or sometimes people may not get any powers but still get an ego कि भाई ये तो मेरी शक्तियाँ हैं, and at that time our ego makes us fall down in our spiritual growth. Instead of moving up the ladder, we start to fall down. Yes, we may fall down because our own ego. In sadhana, it is said that to begin sadhana, we have to conquer our mind. Our mind needs to be our friend. But in this process, we should always take a note of our ego. Once ego comes in कि भाई ये तो मेरा ही शक्ति है, ये तो मेरा ही power है, at that time I'm pretty sure some higher up power, some deity will start laughing at you, and at that moment everything will be lost. Because of your own ego, you would have lost your spiritual energy, your spiritual progress, and your spiritual journey would have stagnated, or you would have fallen down. ये चीज़ अगर नहीं करना है, if we want to avoid this from happening to us, we need to understand that nothing is in our control. It is just our own karmas, our own deeds, our own actions that define us, and we cannot take any kind of credit, we cannot take any kind of ego that कि भाई ये तो मेरा ही power है. At that moment, once ego comes to play, everything is lost. There are many people with the tendency to grow who will never grow because of this ego. The universe is very smart, Mother Nature is very smart. Out of all the beings on our great planet, we have been given this discriminative ability, this thinking power, and intellect is given to us. We need to decide what is right and what is wrong, and we need to understand that everything happens due to our own karma, our own deeds, our own actions. But at the same moment realize that without the will of the deity, without the deity's blessing, nothing can move forward, nothing will happen. This may look like a very esoteric explanation on only Sanatana Dharma, on only our religion, our culture, but it is not so. This is a constant everywhere. In each and every culture of this universe, of this world, be it any ancient religion or be it any modern, any new religion formed, each and every religion has some basis of a higher up power which needs to be meditated upon, which needs to be prayed upon to certain points. The difference comes is now people have equated everything to prayer. What prayer basically is actually that we are trying to ask something, we are trying to gain something from whoever we deem as our deity. That is not the point of sadhana. You can pray. Praying is never wrong. People will always pray for something or the other. But when we talk about deeper sadhana does not happen like that. Deeper sadhana is without any forms of prayer. There is no will to ask anything materialistic. Sadhana is done only with the motivation of spiritual growth. And this spiritual growth is the only thing which can actually make you realize the super consciousness that is God. Anything apart from that is like fooling our own self. Because once a person progresses in sadhana, the deity, if the deity actually blesses the sadhaka, whatever he wants, whatever he needs will get fulfilled automatically. And when I say automatically, I do not mean at all that things will happen magically. अरे मेरे को तो बस ऐसे ही मिल गया. It never happens like that. I'll give an anecdote here. Ram Setu was being built. The Vanar Sena had completed building the Setu, Rama Setu, as we call it now. But when Jambavan saw it, Jambavan the bear, noble bear who is supposed to be the Manasputra of Brahma himself, saw that, he felt doubt ki how will such a huge army cross this very small setu, because this bridge they had built, the setu they had built was very small comparatively to the quantity of the army, to the size of the army which Lord Rama had. At that moment, Rama understood that. He smiled, and as soon as he put one leg on the setu, that setu expanded. The stones expanded and water receded down to a certain level in order to allow for the setu to grow. At that moment, the Vanar Sena with Nal and Neel, the architects of this setu, went ahead and asked Lord Rama कि भगवान, अगर आप सेतु खुद ही बना सकते थे, आप खुद ही निर्माण कर सकते थे, तो हमसे परिश्रम क्यों करवाया? That is, if Lord, you could have created this bridge by yourself, why did you make us do all this work? This was a lot of hard work. At that moment, Rama smiles and says कि कृपा की एक सीमा नहीं होती है, लेकिन कृपा उसी में जुड़ सकती है जहाँ पे पुरुषार्थ हो, जहाँ पे तुम्हारी मेहनत हो. That is, my blessings will work. There is no foundation to my blessing, but it will only work after some deed is done. Only on addition to that deed can my blessing work. If you would have not started anything, you would have built something, what would I bless upon? Coming back to my explanation, I use the word Purusharth. Purusharth, there are 4 Purusharthas, or 4 great concepts, or the 4 great motivations of life. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Dharma is duty. The most primary, the most basic of all, Dharma is duty. After Dharma comes Artha. Artha is not just wealth, but complete understanding of earth is what gives meaning to your life, what sustains our life. And after Dharma and Artha comes Kama. Kama is desire. People think of desire as something very negative, but at the end of the day, without desire, nothing works in this universe. Desire is the basis of this universe. If there are no desires, then nothing will happen. We are alive because each and every cell in our body has a will to live, has a desire to live. Otherwise, these cells will become cancerous and it will kill us finally. So without desire, without Kama, nothing happens. And after Kama, the 4th Purusharth, last one is Moksha. Moksha is liberation. Liberation is not just from the universe. Liberation is from cycle of birth, death and rebirth. From this cycle of rebirth, from this cycle of karmas. But in order to attain moksha first, we need to realize what moksha is. And before realizing what moksha is, we need to realize upon our Ishta Devta, upon our primary deity. And before we can realize our primary deity, we need to realize our own selves. We need to understand what is our own tendency, which form of energy do I hold within myself, and praying to or meditating upon which form of energy will make sure that I move ahead in spiritual journey of mine. We need to understand that. And only after we understand who we are and what is our tendency, what can make us grow in our spiritual journey, can we understand what is the purpose of our life. And after realizing the purpose of our life, we can self-actualize the deity, we can self-actualize God and be one with God. I stress upon the purpose of our own life because of the fact that people always have this question कि what is the purpose of my life. लेकिन प्रॉब्लम ये है, समस्या ये है कि वो लोग समझते नहीं कि whatever they are doing is, they do not understand that whatever they are doing is just a reaction of a previous reaction. They are walking around without any purpose. It's like अरे सुबह उठ गया अब नाश्ता करना पड़ेगा, काम करने जाना पड़ेगा या स्कूल जाना पड़ेगा. Everything happening is an automatic reaction. Think of Newton's third law. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. That's how everyone's life is just going on. Ki I have did something before, now I have to react on that. There is no purpose, there is no purpose of life. We need to understand ourselves and then understand what is the purpose of our life and not walk on this earth aimlessly. And with this message, I would like to end this episode of the podcast here. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om.